You don't remember when it happened. There was no single moment where someone sat you down and said, "From now on, you're in charge of holding things together." It just became true. And somehow, without anyone asking, you became the one who didn't fall apart. Maybe you were the oldest. Maybe your parents were struggling emotionally, financially, or both. Maybe the house was loud in ways that scared you, so you learned to be quiet and capable just to make things feel safer. You learned to read the room before you could read a book. You learned that your feelings were secondary, that asking for help made things harder. That being okay was something you owed to everyone around you. And here's what's interesting about that. It wasn't weakness that shaped you. It was actually a form of brilliance. Your nervous system, at a very young age, ran an analysis. It looked at the environment around you and concluded, the cost of vulnerability is too high here. Strength is safer. And so your brain did what brains do. It adapted. Psychologists call this parentification, when a child takes on the emotional or functional role of a caregiver. When the natural order quietly flips, and the child becomes responsible for the emotional stability of the adults around them. But here's what no one told you about that adaptation. It doesn't stay in childhood. It follows you into your friendships, where you're always the one who listens but rarely the one who speaks. Into your relationships, where you give endlessly and feel vaguely guilty for needing anything back. Into your own quiet moments, where you sit alone and realize you have no idea how to ask for help. Not because no one would give it, but because somewhere inside you, needing help still feels like a threat. I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You didn't develop a disorder. You developed a strategy. A strategy that was genuinely intelligent given the circumstances you were in. When psychologists study children who grew up in unpredictable environments, they consistently find something remarkable. These children develop what's called hypervigilance, an elevated sensitivity to the emotional states of others. They become extraordinarily perceptive, almost like they grew a sixth sense for tension, for sadness, for what's coming before it arrives. That's not damage. That's the nervous system doing something sophisticated. The problem isn't who you became. The problem is that the strategy that kept you safe at 7 is running your life at 25, or 35, or 40. The war ended. But part of you is still standing guard. Here's what's happening in the brain. Imagine your nervous system as a security system. When you were young, that system was calibrated in a high-alert environment, so the sensitivity got turned all the way up. Every sound, every shift in tone, every silence that felt too long. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, learned to fire quickly and often, and your prefrontal cortex, the part that regulates emotion and makes rational decisions, learned to defer to it. Feel nothing. Handle it. Stay strong. That became the loop. In neuroscience, there's a principle. Neurons that fire together, wire together. The more times you suppressed your needs and moved into problem-solving mode, the more automatic that response became. So now, when someone asks how you're doing, you say, "I'm fine," before you've even checked. When something breaks you open inside, you hold it together in public and fall apart alone, quietly, at 2 a.m., in a way that you'd never let anyone see. And when someone offers you genuine care, something in you flinches, not because you don't want it, but because your nervous system never fully learned how to receive it without suspicion. This is the invisible weight of having been strong too early. So what do you actually do with this? Not a 10-step program, not a weekend fix. 3 honest principles, grounded in what the research actually says. The first is, learn to locate yourself. People who grew up managing others' emotions often lose the habit of checking in with their own. Psychologists call this interoceptive awareness, the ability to notice what's happening inside your body. Start small. Once a day, pause and ask, what am I actually feeling right now? Not what you think you should feel. Not what would be easiest to feel. What's actually there? You're not solving anything yet. You're just making contact with yourself again. The second is, practice receiving in small doses. If vulnerability feels dangerous, you don't overcome it by forcing yourself into deep confessions overnight. Research on gradual exposure shows that safety is learned the same way fear was learned, through repeated, small experiences that slowly update the nervous system's threat assessment. Let someone help you with something minor. Let someone sit with you in a hard moment without you immediately redirecting the conversation to them. Let someone care for you without immediately finding a way to repay it. These aren't small things. For you, they're actually profound. The third is, separate your identity from your endurance. This one is the deepest. Because for many people who became the strong one early, strength became not just a behavior, it became a self-concept. I am someone who doesn't fall apart. I am someone who handles things. And while those qualities are genuinely remarkable, they can also trap you. Because if your identity is built on not needing, then needing feels like self-destruction. The psychological work here is what researchers call identity expansion, not replacing who you are, but adding to it. You can be strong and soft, capable and needing, a person who holds others, and a person who deserves to be held. Here's the simple model to hold on to. Think of yourself as someone who learned to carry weight because the floor was unsteady. You got very good at it. You built real strength from it. But you've been carrying that weight for so long that you forgot you could ever put it down. The work isn't to become someone else. It's to learn, slowly and gently, that the floor is steadier now, that you can set some of it down, that asking for help doesn't mean the ceiling falls, that being seen in your softness doesn't erase everything you survived. You became strong because you had to. That's real. And it cost you something. That's also real. But you are not the role you learned to play. You are not the function you served. You are a person, whole, complicated, worthy of care that doesn't have to be earned through performance. The strongest thing you will ever do might not look like strength at all. It might look like stillness, like asking, like letting someone see you on a day when you're not okay. That's not weakness. That's finally coming home to yourself.